Good morning to one and all present here. I will be announcing the ground rules for the session, which is expected by the participants to follow. Please turn off your camera and microphone during the session. Kindly use your full name as your Zoom username. Post all your questions in the chat box only. Questions will be answered as per the convenience of time. Also, feedback or evaluation link will be posted only in the Zoom and YouTube chat box. Please do fill it before 4 p.m. to record your attendance for the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I request our head of the department, Dr. C. Francis, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning to one and all present for this webinar section on international perspective in social work practice. Today's the speaker is Ms. Lavanya Dinakaran, who is the school social worker in the international school called Diyafah International School, Abu Dhabi. Madam is an expert in school social work practice, and I also congratulate Dr. Rachel for arranging such a wonderful speaker for this webinar session. I invite all the participants who have registered and attended the seminar for this today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Ms. Shubha Rana to introduce our speaker, Ms. Lavanya Dinakaran, to the participants.
A very good morning and welcome to all of the participants present here. It's an immense pleasure to introduce our speaker of the day, Ms. Lavanya Dinakaran. Ma'am has a great educational background. She did her bachelor's in computer applications from Women's Christian College, University of Madras. She pursued master's in social work for the specialization family and child welfare from Stella Maris College, Chennai. She also did a diploma on human resource management. Ma'am has an immense understanding and working experience with children as well as individual and group counseling. She has a great knowledge of conducting workshops for children with mental disabilities. She is well trained in street theatre, life skills, and psychosocial counseling. Ma'am has an impressive working experience and has worked in various organizations, including International Justice Mission at Mumbai and Chennai, as well as Emirates Future International Academy, Abu Dhabi. She's a well rounded professional and has worked as a teacher, a student counselor, and also is currently working as a social worker in Diyafah International School, Abu Dhabi. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Good morning, one and all. Thank you for coming for this webinar. First of all, I would like to introduce myself and let you know how I got into school social work, because in India, I was not working in a school, so I did not have much experience working in a school as a school social worker. So after 2009, that's when I moved to Abu Dhabi, and I worked in a school as a school teacher. I was teaching English, and when the principal saw my CV and that I had a master's in social work, she offered me a position as a school counselor. So that's how I got into school social work. And later on, I had to take a break from that school because of my second delivery. So I took a break, and then that's when I got this very good opportunity to work in the Diyafah International School as the school social worker. And now it's been almost 5 years that I've been working in this school as the school social worker. So that's just an introduction. So now we can go to the PowerPoint. Can you please go to the first slide? Yes. I just wanted to start this presentation with a beautiful quote. It's not about school social work, but I think every counselor or every social worker can relate to this. This says that in my world, there are no bad kids, just impressionable, conflicted young people wrestling with emotions and impulses, trying to communicate their feelings and needs the only way they know how. So as a social worker, we should first understand that we can never label individuals. I think that's the first thing that they teach us in college, as to never label individuals, especially children, as bad children or badly behaved, because once you label them, then it's difficult to bring out the best in them. So these kids are human beings with feelings and emotions just like us, but they do not know how to bring it out. So they might, show it out in anger. They might badly behave to bring out their feelings. So this is one of my favorite quotes. So I just wanted to start this presentation with this quote. Next slide, please. All right. So generally, if you want to pursue a career in school social work, when I started my master's in social work, I never, thought that I would become a school social worker one day. I loved working with children, and that's why I chose the family and child welfare specialization in MSW. So, but over the years, with experience, after working in this field for over 6 years now, I have know like what are the general roles of a school social worker. So these are some of the general roles of a school social worker. I'm not going to read through the slides. I'm just going to explain as what it is about. So the first and foremost thing is, remember that you're working with children and for the overall development of the children. And not only you're working with the children, but with the family. So parents play a very important role. So you not only advocate for the child, but you also work with the family so that the child will be learning as effectively as possible. And also, as the school social worker, we need to work very closely with the special education needs department, which we call the SEN, or the SEN department here. So as a social worker, you need to work with the SEN department to see how you can help the child. And if the child has any mental health issues, we need to be aware of that. And we need to, collaborate with mental health agencies and help the parent and the child with it. And also, we work with children to help them with conflict resolution, anger management, bullying, and there are so many issues that children face in school, like emotional issues, mental health issues, and bullying. So we need to be aware of all of that and help the children with that. And the main work that we will have as a school social worker is to work with the teachers and the staff and the senior management team to help improve the behavior in schools. And also, you should be well aware of what is around you, like the community outreach and the different agencies that work with children, so that you will be able to get the right help at the right time. And the last point on this slide is identifying and reporting child abuse and neglect, which is very important. I think in almost all schools, we will have cases of child abuse or child neglect. So first of all, as a social worker, or as a person working with children, you need to be well aware of the child's needs. You need to have an open mind, and you need to understand what the child needs. And if the child is abused, or if you see any signs of neglect, then you should be able to help the child along with the parents, and also along with any laws. If you have any local laws or the government which can help you in this, you need to be well aware of this. So these are the general roles that you will have as a school social worker. And as I said, you also need to work with the family. If you know that the child is coming from a distressed family, or a family with separated parents, or the child has lost one of the parent, and the child is going through a very tough time, then we need to also work with the family. So this, as a school social worker, it's not only an individual work, but it's a collaborative effort. You need to work with the staff, the family, the community, and the students. So basically, these are the general roles of a school social worker. Next slide, please. All right. Now that we've looked at the general roles of a school social worker, I'm going to talk a bit about my role, specific role as a school social worker in my school. Okay, so this depends on the country that you work in. Like I said, I've never worked in India, so I do not, as a school social worker, so I do not know how it how it works there, and how the counselors are working there. But after coming here, these are the specific roles that I have in my school. So the first and foremost thing that you need to know is every school should have a child-friendly behavior policy. What is a behavior policy? A behavior policy is something that, it's a policy which does not have any fancy words or words that the child cannot understand, because uh, the behavior policy is also shown to the student. So if a student looks at the behavior policy, he or she should be able to understand what's in the behavior policy, what they should be doing and what they should not be doing, and the consequences and the rewards that they will have. So my job in this school first was to draft a good behavior policy in compliance with the local governing body. So here in the UAE, I'm in Abu Dhabi. So in Abu Dhabi, we have something called ADEC, ADEK, which stands for Abu Dhabi Department of Education and Knowledge. So this ADEC is responsible for all the schools in Abu Dhabi. So they are the ones who hold inspections. They come for inspections to schools. And if we need any help as a school, we go to them and seek help from them. They've also given us guidelines on how to manage behavior in schools. So what I did was I read through the guidelines of ADEC as how to manage behavior, and then I drafted a policy for our school, which has to be approved by the principal, by the senior staff, and ADEC. So after we draft the policy at the beginning of every academic year, we send it to ADEC, and ADEC is the one who approves it. They will look at it if it is good enough for the school, if the students will be benefited from it, and then they send it back to us. So that's one of the first and the foremost role that I had in my school. And of course, counseling. Counseling can be in different forms. It can be individual counseling, it can be group counseling, it can be a classroom counseling. So, we do different kinds of counseling in our school, not only individual, but we take out a certain group which we feel they need a lot of help with social skills or with behavior. So we take that group out of class and we hold sessions for them. And also we have classroom counseling based on the life skills. In our school, we have a life skill for every week, like resilience and communication, friendship, tolerance. So we have a life skill for every week. So based on the life skill of the week, we also have sessions with kids. And of course, awarding students. Students love awards. Children love rewards, and they love to get certificates. They love to receive rewards. So not only reprimanding, not only punishing or consequence, but as a counselor or a social worker, we need to know how to reward or award students who show a positive behavior, or who show a great improvement in behavior. And also a very important thing is the school clinic. uh, Here we have a clinic in every school. We have doctors and nurses in every school. So as the school counselor or a social worker, you need to be in constant touch with the school clinic to know if there are any bullying incidents happen. For example, in our school, we've had children get into fights because of bullying. We've had children getting hurt because of bullying. So once the parents call us and ask us, we should be able to tell them what happened and what did we do regarding that. So you need to be in constant touch with the clinic. And also bus behavior. Here, most of our students, they travel on school buses. So I am the one who is responsible for behavior on the buses as well. So we have a form which is called the incident slip. And if the bus assistants, they need to note down any behavior on the bus, then they write it down and give it to me. And I have a session with the students. I talk to them, and I make sure that they behave well on the buses, and that they do not misbehave there as well. And communicating with parents, that's very important. Whatever you do with children, parents should be a part of it. So we should make sure that the parents are well aware of what the school counselor is doing with their child. And also updating information on the ESIS. ESIS is something that we have here. It's a student database, which is with the ADEC. So whatever work I do with the students, if necessary, if we have to go to ADEC, then I update it on the ESIS. And also providing guidance and assistance for teachers. if they break classroom rules, or they continuously misbehave, and teachers have worked with them, but then they do not know what else to do with them because they've tried their best, and then you step in as a social worker, and then you start your work there. And as I said, it's a collaborative effort. So you have to work with students, teachers, and other school staff, even the teaching assistants, the bus assistants, the clinic, the SEN department. You need to work with everyone to resolve student behavioral issues. So these are some of the specific roles that I have as a school social worker. Next slide, please. All right. As I said, child protection and child neglect. Now, this is a very important aspect of school social work. We all know what is child protection or child neglect or child abuse. A child can be abused physically, emotionally, mentally. There are different forms of abuse that a child can undergo. And neglect is something that we see here, most of the time. I'm talking from my perspective, from the country where I live in now, because I do not know how it works in India now, but here, we have the local, the Emiratis, here, and it's their country, so they have everything that they need. But still, we find that the children are neglected in many ways here. Especially because if you look at the Emirati household, every household, they have maids to take care of the children, they have a maid to take care of the cooking, they have a maid to take care of the cleaning. So everything is done by the maids. And the parents, they rarely step into the lives of their children. So it's very sad to see children being neglected. We have seen child neglect, many cases of child neglect than abuse in our school. Or the country here that I live in. So what we do is, as you see, neglect is the persistent failure to meet a child's basic physical or physiological needs. So we've seen children coming with inadequate lunch. We've seen children coming shabbily dressed to school, not, the hygiene standards are not really good. And, we've seen children, if we have a particular day, like, an anti-bullying day, and we've asked them to wear a particular kind of, clothing, and they do not come, they come in their school uniform. That's because parents do not follow up and they're being neglected. So, here we play a very important role. Now here, how it works here in our school, or in all the schools here in Abu Dhabi, is the social worker is different from the safeguarding lead or the child protection officer. So in my school, the child protection officer is our vice principal. So what we do is, if we see any signs of neglect or abuse, we go to her, because she is the person who's responsible for child neglect or child abuse. She's the one who takes it to ADEC or who takes it to the government. So if we see any signs of neglect or abuse, we also train the teachers to look for any signs of neglect or abuse. We need to be open to this. We need to, be well aware of the signs of neglect. So we should have knowledge of it, and we should know where to go to. So in my school, the vice principal is responsible. She is the child protection officer. So, and if needed, we call the parents, we call the local police, the community police, and then we involve them also in this, and then they will take it over from there. So just, to let you know that child protection and child neglect, this is one of the most important roles of a school social worker, along with the child protection officer. Next slide, please. Okay, so as a school social worker, what are the things that we need to be doing, or what are some of responsibilities, or what should you do? The first and foremost thing is establish a very good relationship or a very good rapport with the students. If you ask me, I wouldn't say it's very easy to strike a relationship with students. It's very difficult, actually, because, different students, they respond in different ways because every child is different. So one child may be very open to you, and then the other child will be, like they will never talk, or you do not know what they are going through, or it's very difficult. When I stepped into the school for the first time, the social worker who was working previously, she was there only for a year, so the students did not actually know who the social worker was or who the counselor was. They did not know that they could go to her if they need advice or if they need someone to talk to. So when I stepped into this role for the first time 6 years ago, it was very difficult because I was not a teaching staff. I did not have any classes with them. Only when they were badly behaved, the students were sent to me. So I was like more like a complaint box. So whenever the teachers faced problems, they would just send the students to me, and I was actually labeled as someone who was very strict, and the students would really get scared of me. So I wanted to break the ice. I wanted to let them know that not only bad students come to me, but I am there for anyone who wants to come and talk to me, for any child who needs a hug or who needs love or attention. I made sure that I walked into classes. I made sure that I had sessions with them. There were no sessions with social worker when I started, but I told the principal that I wanted to have some sessions with the students, and that I wanted to do assemblies in the mornings. And, so then we started to have something called circle time with all the classes. So I used to go into the classes maybe once in 2 weeks, and we had sessions with them just to make myself familiar with the students, and just to let the students know that they can come to me anytime they want to, provided they get permission from the teachers, and to let them know what my role was. So as a school social worker, you need to find different ways to establish relationship with students or with children. Children are very friendly. Children are are very good when you are good to them, and you should find ways, be creative, think of creative ways as how you can reach out to them. And you have to establish a very good rapport with students. And then the next important thing is you need to be familiar with the local governing authorities and the school governing body in your region. As I said, in Abu Dhabi, we have the ADIC, which is the Abu Dhabi Department of Education and Knowledge. So they are the ones responsible for all the schools in Abu Dhabi. So what I do is I, make visits to ADIC. If I have a problem or an issue, or if I need any clarification, I go to them. We talk to them, we get advice from them, and we have to be aware of any updated laws or any updated legislations that they have with regards to children in schools. So you have to be very familiar with the local laws and the local governing authorities, because you're working with children, and it's very important that you work along with the government, you work along with the local governing body in your region. And that's the same as the local laws pertaining to child neglect and child abuse. You have to be familiar with that too. So here we have the community police, which is, they're not like the normal police, they're very child friendly. So what I do is I have workshops with them. I invite them to our school, and we have workshops with them. So they teach our children on, bullying, like anti-bullying, and what to do, what not to do, and how children can get help if they are being bullied in school. So the community police are the ones who work with children here. So they are the ones who come, we invite them to schools to have workshops with the kids. And another very important role that you have, or a skill, I would say, a skill that you should have as a social worker, is communication skill and good networking skills. So you need to be aware of all the agencies or all the organizations that are working with children in your region. You should be able to invite them to your school, so that children will benefit from them in different ways, like even mental health agencies. what we do in our school is we have many SEN children in our school, because our school is an inclusion school. What's an inclusion school? A school which includes students with SEN needs. So not only normal children come here, but also students with SEN, with special education needs, they also come to our school. So what we do is we do not have professionals in our school, so we have a tie-up with the agencies in our region. So we refer the students to them, and we also let the parents know that these are ADEC approved centers that they can go to get help for their children. So you should have good networking skills, and you should be well aware of which organization is working in which area so that you can help your students with it. And another important skill is communication. With the SENCO is the SEN coordinator, or the special education needs coordinator. You have to be in regular touch with them, with the parents, of course, all the staff, and the senior leadership team, that's the SLT. So as you see, these are also some of the roles and responsibilities that you will have as a school social worker. Yes, the next slide, please. Okay, so this is just, to let you know like how we do it in our school here. So I'm going to share something that we do in our school. So what we did is, as a school social worker, it will be very stressful for you, because you need to do counseling, you need to have sessions with students, and you need to take care of the behavior. And in my case, I'm the only social worker in my school. So when I started, it was very difficult for me to take care of everything. So what I did is I divided the levels of misconduct. Okay, so ADEC, so as I said, ADEC has given us guidelines of how to manage behavior in our school. So what I did is I broke it down into 3 levels. Okay, so that even the teachers have to do their job. As a class teacher, all these, like, tardiness, not on task, disruptive, all these are something that happens almost every day in every classroom. So the teachers do not have to send students for that to the social worker. So the level 1 are these, small things that happen in the classrooms every day on a daily basis. So they can deal with it. The teachers at their level can deal with the behavior, and they can try and talk to students and give them a warning, or let the parents know, and they can do it at their level. So all these, they do not have to come to you, because if you are going to do it on your own, and if you're going to take everything in your hand, it's going to be very stressful for you. So as a social worker, another skill is being assertive also. So you have to be assertive. You need to let the teachers know that they need to deal with it, all these kinds of behaviors at their level. And if they've tried, ask them what they have done, help them with it, tell them what they can do, like maybe small rewards, or a reward chart or a certificate. You can help them out with that. And if they've tried everything and they are still not able to do it, then you can step in. So what I've done here is I've divided the levels of misconduct into 3 levels. So this level 1, as you can see, it's readable, so you can just have a look at it. All these behaviors, it comes under level 1, and the teachers will be able to deal with it at their level. The next slide, please. Okay, so this is where we come into action. As you can see, it's in bold: level 2, consequence 3 and 4. So this is the next level. If for example, the behavior doesn't improve at the teacher's level, they've tried it. They've tried with behavior charts. In our school, we followed a traffic light system. So first, we give warnings to students. We let the parents know. And according to our behavior policy, now all these, whatever these, all the levels and the consequences, the rewards, everything is outlined in our behavior policy. So that is why the behavior policy is very important. first you have to, draft the behavior policy. You have to send it to parents. You have to let them know that these are the levels of misbehavior and that their child will face consequences. And if their child has improved their behavior, they will also have a reward. So in our school, we follow the traffic light system. So first we start with the green behavior report, and then we give chance for the child to improve. And if the child doesn't improve, then we move on to amber, and then the last one is the red, which is the level 3. So this is just to let you know what we do in our school. So if any one of you, you want to pursue a career in school social work, this will be very helpful, because I did not know all of this. It's over the years, over experience only, I've learned it in the process. So, just to let you know that you can also do this if you're going to work in a school, or if you're going to work with children. So this is the next level, where we come into action, either the SENCO, the head of section, the head of years, we all come into action. We place the child on a behavior report, and documentation is very important. You need to keep all these incident slips and, these behavior reports with you very carefully. Yes, so this is level 2. And then the last level, the next slide, please. Okay, so this is level 3. This is at the principal's level. This is something that we do not find very commonly in schools. It happens very rarely. So as you can see, these are the levels like leaving school premises without consent, or fighting with staff or community members, or all these behaviors. They don't happen commonly, but it does happen. I do not know how it is in India now. Way back when I studied, schools had a very good discipline system. In fact, we did not have any school social worker or counselor when I was studying. All we had was our teachers, and everything was perfect. And I don't know, because maybe I studied in an all-girls school. I do not know how it works in a co-ed or all-boys school. But still, we did not face bullying or fighting at this extent. But nowadays, especially here, we've seen a lot of fighting incidents, a lot of bullying happening. And so this comes at level 3. So this is where we immediately call the parents, and we even suspend the children if they get into any serious fights. So these are some of the consequences that the children will face. And this is the level where the principal takes action. So I go to the principal, I set up a meeting with the parents and with the principal. So we sit together, we discuss the behavior with the parents, and we give them a suspension letter. We make the parents sign on it, and we let them know that their child needs to improve, and this cannot be tolerated in our school. So all these is level 3. All right, the next slide, please. Okay, so this is a simpler form of what I said, what I was talking about until now, the level 1, level 2, level 3. So as a school social worker, as I said, it's going to be very stressful for you if you're going to take everything in your hands. It's going to be very difficult. That's what I was doing at the beginning. So every teacher will, they will send the students to us. If they're not behaving in their classes, they immediately send the students to the social worker. So they do not deal with it. So then what we did is, the principal and we sat together, and we said we have to be assertive. We have to let the teachers know that they need to do their part also. So we've actually, asked the teachers to deal all the level 1 behaviors at their level. And then when they're not able to, when they're unable to do it, then we come into action. And then stage 3 is the management. That's the level 3, the principal's intervention. All right. And we also have something called the complaints committee, which comprises of the heads of years, the social worker, the principal, and the vice principal. So what we do is we have meetings once in a month to discuss any behavioral issues in our school, or any ongoing program in our school with regards to mental health or behavior, and what we should do and how we should go on. So yeah, these are the 3 stages that we have, and this is how we do it in our school. So this will be useful if you want to pursue a career in social work, and this is how you can do it to make your job much easier, I would say. Yes, the next slide, please. All right, as I said, documentation becomes a very important part of your work. Any work, if you take, documentation is very important, because it's also part of evidence, and evidence is very important in any kind of work, especially when you work with children. You need to make sure that you write down everything and you keep it with you. The incident slips, I will be showing an example of incident slips like what we have in our school. Now, these incident slips are forms that we use to record incidents. So this is if the child has misbehaved just for the first time, we don't do it. We give them a verbal warning, so which is according to our behavior policy. And so when it happens maybe for the second or the third time, that's when the teachers take these incident slips and they fill it out, and they give it to me. And then that's when I call the parents, or I email the parents and let them know that this has happened, and their child has maybe misbehaved, and according to our behavior policy, I will let them know what are the consequences that the child will be facing. So these are very important. So even if you are working with children, you should have evidence. You should have something like these incident slips, and you should make sure that you note down everything, and also tell the teachers, instead of verbally telling you, maybe they will come and tell you, this child behaved this way in our schools, in my class. So it's not only verbal, but ask them to write it down and give it to you so that you can have it with you. And referral forms, even for counseling, if the teachers feel that this particular child needs counseling, they need to refer and give it to you. And also, before counseling, before you work with a child, please get permission from the parents. That's very important. You need to tell the parent that the teacher has referred their child, and is it okay with them, and then you can start your work with children. So documentation is very, very important. Yes, next slide, please. All right, so this is just an example of an incident slip that we have in our school. So this is very easy, that the teachers don't even have to write down anything. They just have to check the boxes. So, if you look at it, it has the location, like where the incident has happened. For example, if a child has hit another child, maybe, they got into a fight, where it happened, and which level is it? Is it level 1, level 2, or level 3? So as you see, it's very clear, even if you're going to take it to ADIC, or, to anywhere, the government, or the community police, so you're going to show it to them, it's going to be very easy for them to just look at it and to just read through it and to know what has happened. And then at the bottom, it also has staff response. So as the teacher, what did they do? And then my response as a social worker, what did I do? And, also possible motivation, why they think that the child has, displayed that kind of behavior. So maybe because to obtain attention, or, to avoid adults, avoid peers. So this is called the incident slip. And it's a very important part of your documentation process. So you need to make sure that you have these. So what I do is I have files for every year group. So for example, if a teacher is coming and giving me this incident slips and the child is in year 3, then I take it and I put it inside the year 3 file. So anytime it can be accessible. So make sure that you have all the files with you, all the documentation with you ready, so that even if anyone is going to come and ask you, you can just show them and tell them what has happened. Yes, so this is just to show you an example. The next slide, please. All right, so this is another example of an individual behavior plan. So this is called the IBP. So this is something that I've drafted. So if the student has been misbehaving continuously, maybe you've tried working with them, you've placed them on behavior reports, and there is still no improvement, then you call the parents in. What we do is we call the parents for a behavior meeting or a behavior plan. All right. So, for example, there was one student who was very difficult to work with, and the child was in year 3. He was just 9 years old, and we tried everything that we could, but we could not see any improvement in the child. So we also referred the child to a mental health agency. The parents took him for an assessment, and they found out that he just had a severe learning disability. But what we did is we got the parents involved. So that's why we have to get the parents involved. So this IBP will be very useful when you get the parents involved. You show them this plan. This is also very simple. If you see, it doesn't have any fancy words. It's very easy for even a small child to read. So that's why I've drafted it in such a way that it's very easy for the child to read also. So this has like who attended the meeting, what the student will do, what the parent will do, what's their role to help the child, and what the school will do, okay, to help the child. And also we have a review date for it. So we give the child like 3 weeks. So example, I told this child, and we invited the parent, we made the parent sign the individual behavior plan. And I had continuous counseling sessions with the student. And within 3 weeks, we could see a significant behavior improvement. And the parents were also happy. And that when they sign this behavior plan, they feel the responsibility. They take it to them. They take it as a responsibility that they have to do as parents, what they have to do. So that's why these behavior plans are very important. Make sure that you get the parent to sign on these plans. Give a review date, because follow-up is very necessary, and if you do not follow up, then it's going to be a waste. So what we do is we give them 3 weeks time, and within those 3 weeks, we have to see an improvement. So this is just an example of the IBP, or the individual behavior plan, that we have. Yes, next slide, please. Okay, there are many challenges that you might face as a school social worker. Even though you might think that it's very easy to work with children, it is not actually. It is very difficult to work with children, especially with children with different needs, children who are emotionally abused, and children who face a lot of difficulties at home. It's very difficult to work with them. And as I've mentioned in this slide, the people who are most difficult to manage are the parents, especially here. The local parents, they're very demanding. They are they ask you too many questions, and many parents are in denial. They deny the fact. They cannot accept the fact that their child has been misbehaving, or that their child is difficult to manage. I've heard most of my parents come and tell me that, Miss, our children are well behaved at home, but I do not know what happens when they come to school, because you always come and tell us that my child is misbehaving, or they're well behaved at home. So you should know how to manage the parents. And so what I tell them is, I tell them that at home they're just with the parents. They're in a confined space, and here in school they are with friends. They see other children, and that's when they tend to misbehave. And the parents need to accept the fact that their child needs to change. So as a school social worker, one of the most difficult challenge that I face are the parents. And as I said, as the only social worker in the school, I'm responsible for the entire school population. And, I have a very heavy caseload, which is very stressful. And also, as I previously mentioned, every child is different. So kids respond differently every time. For example, there was a student, a 12-year-old boy, who had anger management issues, and the parent had come, and we had a meeting, and they sought my help. And that boy was a very difficult child. He wouldn't open up to anyone. He wouldn't even talk to his teacher, because he had, quite a bit of anger management issues. And then we referred him to an external agency. And meanwhile, I was also trying to do my sessions with him. So he wouldn't talk to me. He would just come for the session. I had to go and fetch him from the class every time I had my session with him, because he just wouldn't want to come. But then I had to ask his parents, what his interests are and how can I strike a conversation with him. That's why I said working with parents also is very important. So when the parents said that he likes gadgets, he loves, smartwatches, smartphones, he's very, into gadgets. So one day when I had a session, I started talking to him about the latest gadgets, and I asked him to explain what are the latest gadgets. And I started a conversation, and you will not believe how he opened up and how he was so happy to talk to me about the different gadgets that he liked and what he knew. And and that's when a beautiful relationship started. And you will not believe, every time when it was time for him to come to me, I wouldn't have to go to him. He came running to me, and his teacher was also very happy. She said, I didn't even have to tell him that, you had a session with Miss, but he used to come to me every session. And even we referred him to an external agency, and the psychologist there also emailed me. She was very happy. She said first he was very difficult, but now he's opening up, and together, along with the external agency, with me and the parents, so we all work together to see an improvement in that child. So you have to find ways, have to find creative ways as how you can strike a relationship with the children. Yes. So the next slide, please. Okay, so these are some pictures that I wanted to, show. Like, we have different programs in our school, like the anti-bullying week, and along with our anti-bullying week, so we have an entire week just dedicated for anti-bullying, and we have different competitions. We also invite parents to get involved in these events. So we have like reading sessions with parents, and we invite parents so that they can read stories about friendship, tolerance, bullying to our school. These are some pictures. We also organized a peace walk where we asked our students to come dressed in black and white. We asked them to make good banners. We walked around the school along with the police. So, even the police was involved in this. And yes, so just to, create an awareness even in the community about this. Yes, next slide, please. Yes, as I said, we also organize a lot of workshops. For example, the first one is with the community police. So we have the police come to our school, talk to students about bullying and the helplines that they can reach out to, what they can do, even cyberbullying. That's one of the most common forms of bullying that children face now. So even as a social worker, you should be able to give awareness to students about cyberbullying, what they should be doing online, what they should not be doing online, not only with students, but also with parents. So what I do is every term we draft letter to parents, to tell their responsibilities as parents, what they need to do in case their child faces cyberbullying. And as parents, they are responsible to monitor their child's online activities. So we continuously talk to parents about cyberbullying and what they should be doing and what they should not be doing. And we also had Cartoon Network. That's why I said it's very important to network with different organizations. You should be knowing what each organization is doing with children. For example, Cartoon Network here, they were working with children on anti-bullying. So we invited them for the younger kids, to talk to the kids about what is bullying, the different forms of bullying, and what they should be doing, about this. So workshops and morning assemblies and these programs like anti-bullying week and kindness week, tolerance week. So we have different weeks throughout the year. We have something related to life skills and to help the children in our school. So these are some of the pictures that I just wanted to show. And I think the next is the last slide, please. Okay. These are two of my other favorite quotes, so the best way to make children good is to make them happy. So I think all of us will know that if you make children happy, they will, show a positive change. For example, my primary kids are, they love to seek attention, and they love to be praised. So I just have to tell them, you know what, if you're going to behave very well for the next 1 week, I will, I will give you a reward chart, and we're going to track your behavior, and then you're going to get, a good reward, and you will be receiving a certificate in the assembly. And that's something that they need to hear. Children love to hear positive things. Children love to, hear praises from adults. So the best way to make them happy, to make children good, is you make them happy, and children will listen to you after they feel listened to. That's very important. As a social worker, you need to be a good listener. Sometimes children will love to talk. Children who come to me for sessions, sometimes they keep on talking. They don't even allow me to talk. But that's the time when you need to sit and listen to them. Be a good listener. Show them that you are listening. Let them feel that you are listening to them. And only then they will open up to you. Only then they will tell you how they feel and what they feel. And, and then I think it will be very easy to work with them. Yes, so these are, I just wanted to end this presentation with these two quotes that I really like. So I hope that, everyone understood what I was trying to say. And I think if you have any questions, I think y'all can ask me now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that clear and eye-opening session, ma'am. So now we have questions.
Yes.
So our first question is from Mr. Kasturi Rangan. He states that in schools, we have seen situations where staffs or principals send students to counseling as a means of punishment for their behavioral issues like being mischievous or naughty.
Yes.
On the contrary, the students also have a complex that if they go for a session, the other students would make fun of them.
Correct.
So how to
Yes.
deal with it?
Yes, that's a very good question. Thank you for that question, because as I said, I was labeled as the complaint box, because, and even children, when they come to me, the other friends would make fun of them. Oh, you're going to Ms. Lavanya. All right. So you're in trouble now. So what happened? What did you do? And, why did Ms. Lavanya call you? So that's why I wanted to go into classrooms, and, I have classroom sessions just to let the children know that not only the bad kids come to me, but even the good kids can come to me. And, these kids are trying to get help from me. So you make sure that you have a good relationship with all the students, not only students with problems, so that all the students will know that, oh, okay, she's here for all of us. So not only the bad kids go to them. And that's when I said, we need to be assertive. We need to tell the teachers that they need to do their role as a teacher. First, let them work with the children. And if they are unable to do, then let them send the kids to you. Not like, a punishment, like, oh, you do this, you misbehave in my class, I will send you there. That shouldn't be the case. So yeah, make sure that you have a good relationship with all your students, and let them know that, all kids can come to you, not only the bad kids. Yes. I hope that clarifies.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. The next question is from Mr. Nanda. He asks, being the only social worker in the school, how much you are able to effectively help the children?
Yes, that's also a good question. As I said, I'm the only social worker, a designated social worker, but I have someone who is a pastoral advisor. He is a male staff, okay? So he is an Arab speaker. So he works with most of the Arabic boys, the bigger boys. So I have him with me, but most of these counseling sessions and these awareness sessions and, counseling I do with the students. So I have him to, help me, but he's the pastoral advisor. But yeah, so that way we are able to balance it out a little bit. But now we are planning to expand our team next year. So probably I'll have more help from next academic year. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Ms. Anita. She asks, what are some of the ethical dilemmas confronted as a school counselor?
Ethical dilemma, as in, like, can you give me an example, please?
What are some of the ethical issues that you might face or you have faced as a school counselor?
See, as I said, it all depends on where you work. Okay, now here, I said the parents are very difficult. So to work with, especially with the local parents. They do not understand that behaving in a good way is very important for a child. So uh, it's difficult. They will not understand. Like, even if you tell them that their child needs to improve, and their child needs to behave in a better way, that you are helping to try, you are trying to help their child, but instead they blame you. Like, I've had parents who blamed me, the teacher, that we are not doing our job, because once they think that they place their child in a school, it's the school's responsibility. And that's one of the most common issues that we face, is the parents would blame you that you are not doing your job. But you should be able to tell them that as parents, it's their responsibility also to see an improvement in their child's behavior. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. She also asks that since the caseload is heavy, what are some of the strategies to handle compassion fatigue?
uh, since like I said, I have another person, like the Arabic male staff, who, so if I face problems with bigger boys, like with the higher secondary boys, then I send them to the Arabic male staff. And we also involve the parents. And the other things, I think the caseload is heavy, but because it's like both of us, so sometimes most of these Arabic, the bigger boys, I send them to him for to call the parents, or to involve the parents with them. And yes, so that's how we work. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from the YouTube chat box. Ms. Hireria Preeti asks, how can we let the parents know about the children's behavior without it being a threat to the children?
Yes. Okay. Many times we've heard, like, children come and tell us that, please don't call my parents, and they will punish me, or they will, I'm going to get punished, I'm going to get grounded because of my behavior. So you should know that the parents have to know about the child's behavior. You can not hide anything from the parents. And just because the child is asking you not to share anything with the parents, you cannot do that, because there might be some cases where you need to tell the parents. But if in case of any abuse, okay, physical abuse or anything like that, then you need to be very careful, as are you going to share it with the parents first, or how are you going to do it? So you don't decide that on your own. You ask the SLT, you ask your senior management as how you can go about it. But general behavior, if their child has been behaving not behaving good, that's why we give the children warnings. Okay, so we give them verbal warnings, we give them written warnings, and then we tell the child, listen, if you're going to behave the same way, you're not going to improve, then I might have to call your parents. So you call the parents and first let them know that their child has done this, but just not to be very hard on them. But the child should also face consequences, because if they don't get any consequences at home, then I'm sure that they're going to repeat the same behavior. So it depends on how you put it to the parents. Okay, so you tell them that don't be hard on the child, but probably if they're using a device, you can take away that for a 1 week, or see how the behavior improves. And you can also help the parents as how to work with the children, not by being really hard on them. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Dr. Sukumar. He asks, what role can a school social worker play during and post pandemic?
Okay, during pandemic, like now schools are more focused on curriculum, so they're more focused on subjects and stuff like that. So what we do now is we send resources to our parents, We send them a lot of resources as how to handle stress and, how to overcome this and how to help their children at home, because children are at home and they're not in school. So, as a counselor, what we do here is we send them resources as how they can help. And if the parents want any specific need, any help, then we've asked them to let us know. That's during this pandemic. Post pandemic, you actually, that's very important. You will have a very important role to play in post pandemic. First of all, you have to tell them, teach them about tolerance. For example, now there's a lot of racism issues going on. Now children think that, it's all because of that one country, and so we cannot accept children or people from that. So you need to tell them that you need to teach them about tolerance and how you need to accept everyone, and also how they can stay safe during these times. So yeah, something on tolerance and acceptance, it's very important to teach your children not to have any racist kind of attitudes towards any ethnicity or any community. But you should tell them that, it's not one person's fault, and just because of one person who did it, you cannot blame everyone. So once the children come to school, we need to work with children on that. And because in our school we have children from many nationalities, so I'm sure that when the school starts, we are going to have a lot of issues about that. We are going to have a lot of bullying issues about that. I'm sure we will face that, but it depends on how you tell the children not to do it and how you teach them. So tolerance and acceptance, these are the main issues that we need to focus on post pandemic when children return to schools.
Thank you so much, ma'am. With this, we have come to the end of the session. We request you to give your concluding remarks for the session.
I would like to thank all of you, especially Dr. Rachel, for inviting me as a resource person for this session. And it was a nice opportunity for me to share, about the work that I do here. And thank you very much, everyone, for giving me this opportunity to come and share what I do as the school social worker. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I request Ms. Udaya to propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable day. First and foremost, I would like to thank the speaker of the day, Lavanya Dinakaran, a school social worker from Diyafah International School, Abu Dhabi, for her insightful and detailed description of the importance of social work practice in schools, the roles of a social worker in school, and skills needed in providing the service, and the significance of collaboration with other stakeholders in the school. I would like to place my gratitude to our respected principal, Dr. Raja Samal sir, for his constant support and guidance to our department. I would like to thank our head of the department, Dr. C. Francis, for his stewardship and encouragement. I would like to express my special gratitude to the professors of our department who have been the spearhead of this webinar series. I would like to thank the organizing team and the student coordinators for their exponential work and efforts. I would like to give my special thanks to all the participants for attending the series and continuous participation. Thank you all. The feedback
Thank
form.
you. The feedback form link will be circulated in the YouTube and Zoom chat box. We request all the participants to fill the feedback form without fail. We also take a moment to thank all the participants for registering with payment. The money you have paid for the registration is being donated to the migrant workers. Thank you so much for paying and making a difference in the migrant lives. Our tomorrow session and the last session for the webinar series is on mental health and social work practice. It is from 11 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. Our resource person for the day is Mr. Ernest Emmanuel, who is a psychiatric social worker and the mental health team coordinator in NSW Health, Sydney, Australia. We request all the participants to be present on time for tomorrow's session. Thank you, one and all.